My name is Carl Pearson, and I wanted to report to you about a most important decision that just came down. Reuters announced it on Friday, January 7th, the year 2011. The name of the case is United States Bank National Association as trustee against Ibanez, I-B-A-N-E-Z, Ibanez, and it is one that relates to the mortgage-backed or asset-backed certificates where there has been securitization of a group of mortgages. Now, the decision is important. It comes from the number one, the highest court in Massachusetts, the highest state court, and it's unanimous. All of the judges of that court agreed, and they disallowed two banks to obtain a valid title to property when they had sold the properties in foreclosure. And the reason was that the banks had failed to assign physically the properties, meaning that they didn't complete the paperwork. They let the paperwork be completed after the sale. So the court held that under Massachusetts law, and it's a non-judicial state, by the way, very important. So under Massachusetts law, the state statute says that you have to comply with the laws in Massachusetts which require that the property be foreclosed only by the owner of the mortgage or his successors or assigns. And you have to, the court held, you have to have that paperwork done prior to the notice of foreclosure as well as prior to the sale of the property pursuant to the foreclosure. And also that the notice of foreclosure has to identify the mortgagee, the one who is selling the property, so that people can contact the mortgagee and even including the mortgagor. So this is the decision. It is of great significance because it's in a non-judicial state, non-judicial foreclosure state. It's unanimous by all of the judges in the highest court of that state. It's a brand new decision, and it says that the banks have to have the paperwork done before they go into court or before they issue the notice of foreclosure and actually sell the property in a non-judicial state such as Massachusetts. Actually, Massachusetts does have a rule that they have to go into the land court, but it's only because they have to get approval from the court before they sell the property that it isn't being sold out from under a person who's in the military. So that is of limited consequence here. There was no such claim that the owners of the property were in the military. So let me explain now the importance of this thing from the standpoint of people who are still in their homes and are behind in their mortgage, and the rule really applies across the board, meaning in a judicial foreclosure state or a non-judicial foreclosure state. You have to have the paperwork done in advance before you file in court or before you give the notice of foreclosure and before the sale. You have to have the person who's doing that be the owner of the mortgage, and the owner has to be one where the paperwork is actually signed in advance rather than signed after the fact. So for people who are in their homes and maybe behind in their mortgage, if the paperwork, if the people threatening a foreclosure really haven't gone through the paperwork, and the likelihood seems pretty great that the paperwork really has not been done, and we don't know whether they are going to now stop everything and try to do the paperwork, but there is that possibility that the paperwork hasn't been done so that you would have a defense to a foreclosure, whether you do it by defending in a judicial foreclosure state or you bring your own action to stop the sale, the threatened sale, on the grounds that they don't have, as far as you can see, they don't have the right to do that. So for people in their property right now, there is hope offered by that case. For people who are actually in foreclosure right now, it's even better, because having commenced the notice or the action, it is locked in. They can't now correct it. That is, that the threat itself of sale, of foreclosure and sale, they can't now go back and correct it for this particular effort at removing you from the property, so that you have an ability now where they're locked in. They either did comply or did not, and you could bring an action or defend and try to show that they didn't meet the requirements and be able to stop them from foreclosing. For those who have already lost their homes through this process, there's an opportunity to bring a suit for wrongful foreclosure, throwing you out of your home against the law because they didn't comply, literally, if that's true, with the laws, which seem to be more than likely somewhat uniform in that respect. Although you would still have to look in the non-judicial states, you would have to look to see what the statute says. The court in Massachusetts, in this decision, looked at the statute very carefully and referred to it and literally said that in throwing people out of their homes and having, especially in Massachusetts, where the mortgagee receives title to the property and can sell the property out from under the homeowner, you need the real protection of literal compliance with the statute. And that more than likely is going to be a rule that, and probably has been a rule. So this is the hope that people have, even if they've been thrown off, or especially if they've been thrown off their property through foreclosure and sale, whether it be judicial or non-judicial. You have an opportunity to collect damages, and maybe if the bank still holds the property, you can recover the property. So this is an important decision. It's something you ought to know about. It'll be well talked about. It's the leading case right now. This is the leader. Takes the securitization issue and really looks at it and shows the number of people through whom the title supposedly went, but it never was actually completed that way. They never assigned the paperwork. The paperwork was taken care of after the foreclosure and sale, and that was held to be invalid, and the foreclosure did not work, and the court stopped it. So that is what I wanted to tell you about. My name is Carl Pearson. I'm an attorney. I defend people having foreclosure problems, and you can reach me by telephoning me to my office at 212-307-4444, or go to my website, carlperson.com, CarlPerson.com. Thanks.